The average sale price in Portland Metro continues its regular trend of slight increases week after week, to the point where this week the average sale price is higher this year than it was roughly the same time period last year. At the same time, we're starting to see a trend perhaps form, showing a decrease in buyer demand at a time when it should be increasing. We'll get into those numbers and everything else right now. Let's start off with the average sale price, the big news. Average sale price continues to increase. It was 3% higher than it was the previous week. And if we compare this week to roughly the same time period last year, we're looking at a 0.8%, 0.8% increase in the average sale price. It's not much, but it is the first time in about 10 weeks that we've been in the black. Over the last 10 weeks or so, we've been in the red. Average sale price this year has been lower than what it was last year. Week to week to week, sometimes as much as 5, 6, 7% lower this year versus last year. But if we do look at how the numbers are trending this year, you can see that that trend we've been following since the end of January has been holding. If you draw a line midway between all of these weekly numbers, you can see that the average sale price since the end of January has been on an upward trend. One of the big measures of buyer demand and activity is the number of lockbox opens. If you remember last week, I mentioned that the number of lockbox opens was actually higher this year than it was roughly the same time period last year. That's been a change, a significant change in what we've been seeing over the last 12 months, where the number of lockbox opens has been, in some cases, 30-40% lower than what we'd seen the previous year. This week, the number of lockbox opens is only slightly more than we saw last year at this time, but that's great. I'll take that. It does definitely show that buyer activity has been increasing. The other big measure of buyer demand that we follow is the number of new contracts, and that number is down 9% versus the previous week. We landed at 621. If you take a look at this graph here, you can see that over the last couple of weeks, that number has been down. That 621 number is still a respectable number. The number of new pending deals is one number that I'm going to watch very carefully to see if this turns into a trend, and hopefully next week we'll have more of an indication of where this number is going. So on the flip side of the coin, the supply side of the equation, we ended up at 3,440. That is an increase, but it's not increasing at the same rate as it was last year at this time. Last year, the number of new listings was increasing considerably faster than what we're seeing this year. So that's all the excitement I have for you this week. Be sure to tune in next week, and if you don't want to miss it, feel free to follow this channel, hit that subscribe button and the little bell next to it, and you'll get an alert every time a new video gets posted. All right, we'll see you next week.